The Galactic Council chamber was carved into the heart of a hollowed asteroid, lit by 100 glowing pillars. Ranks of alien envoys filled the seats, their voices echoing like a storm of buzzing and growling. This was the center of galactic power, where entire civilizations came to kneel, to bargain, or to be judged. On this day, a small human delegation stood before them. 3 diplomats in dark suits, 2 silent military officers at their side, and at the front, Admiral Nathan Hale, hands folded behind his back, expression unreadable. The council speaker, a towering insectoid creature with a crystalline crown, raised its wings and spoke. "Humans of Earth, you stand accused of hiding your world from the galaxy for too long. Your species is late to the stars. Your technology is primitive. You are divided, chaotic, and unworthy of standing among the elder races. Speak now, before this council dismisses your claim of sovereignty." The chamber rippled with laughter. A dozen reptilian envoys hissed with amusement. Feathered dignitaries whistled mockery. Massive silicon-bodied giants clicked their limbs in scorn. To them, Earth was a curiosity, a newly discovered planet crawling with fragile bipeds. Admiral Hale gave no reaction. His eyes swept across the chamber, calm, steady, almost bored. One of the human diplomats cleared his throat and began the prepared speech. He spoke of Earth's culture, its history, its right to self-rule. But the words were drowned out by laughter. "Self-rule," barked a tusked alien warlord, slamming a clawed hand on his seat. "Your people still fight wars with each other on your own planet. You cannot even rule yourselves. Your weapons are chemical toys," sneered another, her translucent skin glowing faintly. "You are centuries behind our fleets. A single council patrol could glass your cities." The laughter grew louder. Echoes shook the chamber. Only one alien voice did not join. It came from the shadows of the lower seats. A thin, grey-skinned envoy with trembling hands leaned toward his neighbor and whispered, "If they are hiding, then it is already too late." The neighbor laughed and dismissed him. "Hiding what? A few missiles. Their world is nothing." But Admiral Hale heard. His eyes flicked toward the grey envoy for only a second. Then he stepped forward. "You asked for words," Hale said, his voice deep and clear. "Here are mine. Humanity does not beg for sovereignty. We do not need your permission to exist. We came here out of courtesy. We came here because some among us believed in peace. But you should be glad that we obeyed your request not to bring our fleet." The chamber went silent for the first time. A reptilian envoy leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "Your fleet?" Hale's expression never changed. "Yes, our fleet." The silence broke into another wave of laughter, harsher than before. Aliens slapped the tables with claws and tentacles. The council speaker's wings shook with scorn. "Empty threats from a child world," the speaker hissed. "There is no human fleet. Your species barely escaped your own gravity well." But in the midst of the laughter, a sudden alarm cut across the chamber. A council aide rushed forward with a glowing slate, chittering in panic. "Unscheduled sensor readings near Sol," the aide reported. "A large mass detected just beyond the orbit of Earth's moon. Cloaked signatures uncertain." The laughter stopped. Every envoy turned toward the report. "Show it," demanded the council speaker. The chamber walls shimmered as a hologram bloomed into view. It showed the Sol system, Earth turning slowly blue and white, the moon gray and lifeless. But behind it, in the shadow, there was something faint, a blurred outline, a structure so vast it dwarfed the moon itself. The image crackled and died. Gasps and hisses filled the chamber. Some envoys shouted that the image was a trick. Others argued in panic. The grey envoy, who had whispered earlier, pressed his hands to his face. "I warned you," he muttered. They were never weak. They were waiting. Admiral Hale stood still, saying nothing, eyes fixed on the hologram projector. At that exact moment, a council surveillance ship orbiting Earth transmitted a distress signal. Its crew screamed as their instruments overloaded. Static filled the feed. Then a flash. The signal ended. The chamber was in chaos. Alien dignitaries shouted across languages. The council speaker slammed its wings against the podium, demanding order. But Admiral Hale finally spoke, his voice cutting through the storm. You wanted to measure us, he said. Now you will see the truth. The lights of the chamber dimmed as the council's main screen blinked again. For a second, a massive shadow appeared in orbit above Earth. Jagged lines, glowing weapon ports, armor plates black as night. It was no trick of the sensors. It was real. Then the screen went dark. The last thing the council heard was the panicked voice of a technician. The ship is gone, vanished. We cannot track it. The chamber froze in silence. Dozens of alien eyes turned back toward the human admiral, but Hale did not smile. He simply stood there, calm as ever. The council speaker's voice was low, almost shaking. "What have you done?" Hale answered with only 3 words. "We held back." The chamber erupted once more. Some envoys screamed for war. Others demanded retreat. A few simply stared in shock. And above them all, the council's vast central screen flickered one final time. The surveillance feed returned for only a heartbeat. A dark shape, sharp and endless, moved across the stars. Then it was gone again. The story of Earth had just begun. The Galactic Council had gone mad with fear. News of the vanished surveillance ship spread across the stars within hours. Every empire, every syndicate, every petty kingdom of aliens whispered the same question. What was Earth hiding? The Council sent a new recon fleet to the Sol system. Not a single fragile scout this time. 10 heavy cruisers, bristling with weapons, commanded by Admiral Valek of the Thrin Dominion. He was arrogant, battle-hardened, and utterly convinced humans were bluffing. As his fleet neared Earth's orbit, Valek recorded his words for the Council archives. "I will pull the curtain back. Earth is a nest of children pretending to be wolves. Their tricks will not save them when our guns speak." His crew cheered, but their cheers did not last long. The cruisers slid past Mars, engines burning bright. Then their sensors began to hum with strange readings. Gravity fluctuations, phantom signals, power surges. Something huge stirred behind the grey face of the moon. The alien sensor officers shouted warnings. Unstable readings. Mass shadow detected. Too large for natural rock. On the main screen, faint outlines appeared. Curves of black metal. Sharp lines stretching across the void. They were not random. They were shaped. They were built. The Thrin Admiral leaned forward. His mouth opened, but no sound came. He had seen countless warships. But this was no warship. This was a nightmare. For a moment, the vast shadow did not move. It simply waited, cloaked in the moon's darkness. Then one section lit up with a single, steady blue glow, like an eye opening in the night. The alien bridge crew froze. The blue light swept across their ships as if scanning them. "Raise shields," Valek barked. Too late. Every cruiser's engines flickered. Power drains ran through their cores. Alarms screamed. Weapons locked, but they refused to fire. It was as if invisible hands were tearing their systems apart. On one cruiser, a captain screamed into the comm, "We are being disarmed. Our weapons will not respond." On another, an officer whispered, "It is watching us." Admiral Valek shouted for retreat. Engines roared as the cruisers tried to turn away. But the blue glow intensified. A wave of static crackled across the fleet. The first cruiser erupted in silence. No explosion, just gone. Vanished into a black flash. The others panicked. They scattered. 2 collided in the chaos. Another lost power completely, drifting helplessly toward Earth's gravity well. Only 3 managed to escape. Their transmissions filled the void with fear. The humans have a phantom fleet, ships larger than cities. They strike without firing. The transmission cut off. Far below, on the surface of Earth, civilians went about their lives as if nothing was happening. Children played in parks. Traders sold goods in bustling markets. Screens displayed harmless news. To outsiders, Earth looked weak and normal, but deep underground, hidden beneath mountains and oceans, humanity was watching. In a dark command chamber beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Nathan Hale stood before a holographic map. A sphere of Earth floated in the air, surrounded by red and blue markers. His officers gave silent reports. Alien recon fleet neutralized. Survivors retreating to outer system. Cloak integrity maintained. No direct evidence exposed. Hale nodded once. Good, let them wonder. Fear is more useful than destruction, an aide hesitated. Sir, the council will not stop. They will send more. Hale's eyes narrowed. Then we show them what hides behind the moon. The chamber went silent. Every officer understood the weight of his words. Above, in orbit, the shadows shifted again. For centuries, humans had built in secret. Massive shipyards hidden inside hollowed asteroids. Factories disguised as lunar craters. The result was a fleet no alien mind had imagined. They called it the Iron Dawn. Dozens of warships. Some small as frigates, others vast as floating continents. Armor dark as night, bristling with weapons that glowed with strange energy. They had waited quietly, cloaked, watching the stars. Now for the first time, one of the giants stirred. A battleship larger than any council dreadnought slowly turned from its lunar shadow. Its engines pulsed once, rippling the void. Its name shone across its hull in white letters. HSS Retribution. On the fleeing alien cruisers, panic spread. Their cameras caught glimpses of the enormous ship, its outline blocking out the stars. One officer whispered into his recorder, "It is not one ship, it is many. They have a fleet hidden in the dark." The cruiser's feed transmitted for only a few more seconds before vanishing. Back in the council chamber, the incoming report was filled with static, half-broken images of shadows moving behind the moon. The delegates watched in horror. Some shouted for immediate sanctions. Others demanded war, but one old envoy, pale and shaking, rose from his seat. His voice was hoarse, almost a whisper, but the whole chamber heard it. "You fools! You thought they were weak. You mocked them. You laughed at their world. But look, behind their moon sleeps a fleet that could tear our empires apart." The chamber froze. The words echoed through the halls. Then, without warning, the transmission ended in silence. For a long moment, no one spoke. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath, and in the shadows of Earth's moon, the Iron Dawn fleet waited. The galaxy did not sleep. Every channel, every network, every starship corridor buzzed with one name, Earth. Rumors spread faster than light. Some said humans had built ships larger than moons. Others swore the shadows behind the moon were illusions. But the footage of the shattered alien cruisers was undeniable. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council tasted fear. They responded in the only way they knew: force. Within weeks, a coalition fleet arrived in the Sol system. 50 cruisers, 10 dreadnoughts and carriers filled with thousands of soldiers. Their mission was simple: enter orbit, demand surrender, and if humans refused, burn their world to ash. The fleet hung above Earth, weapons primed. On the flagship, Admiral Serac of the Voln Confederacy activated the broadcast channel. His scaled face filled the skies of Earth. Across every human city, giant holograms showed his sharp fangs and golden eyes. "Humans of Earth," he declared, "you stand accused of deception and illegal militarization. You are hereby ordered to surrender your planet, your weapons, and your fleet. Failure to comply will result in your immediate destruction. You have 1 hour." The message played across Earth's cities. People froze in streets, factories, and homes, but none panicked. Instead, they looked up at the skies with calm, steady eyes. In the underground command chamber, Admiral Nathan Hale stood before his officers. His expression did not change. He gave no speech. He only asked one question: "Are the ships in position?" "Yes, Admiral," replied a commander. "All cloaked vessels ready to strike." "Targets locked," Hale nodded once. "Then we wait." Above, the alien fleet drifted in silence. Minutes passed. No human response came. The aliens began to laugh among themselves. "Cowards," muttered Serac, too afraid to answer. But then a single transmission crackled onto every alien ship. Admiral Hale's face appeared, calm, unmoving. "Stand by." That was all he said. The alien crews frowned. Confusion rippled across their decks. "Stand by? What did it mean?" Then the void trembled. One by one, shadows peeled away from the darkness of space. Vast warships decloaked, their black hulls glittering with weapon ports. They emerged not from behind the moon this time, but from all directions. Above Earth, behind Mars, rising from the asteroid belt. Dozens, hundreds. The Iron Dawn fleet had arrived. Alien officers screamed. Sensors went wild. Multiple contacts. Unknown mass signatures. They are surrounding us. On the Voln flagship, Sirach's golden eyes widened. Impossible, he whispered. His voice shook for the first time in decades. The humans had played weak. They had played patient. But now their fangs were bare. Admiral Hale's transmission continued, his voice low and steady. This is Earth's fleet. You came here to judge us. Now you will be judged. The Iron Dawn fleet moved as one. Colossal engines ignited, lighting the void with blue fire. Weapon arrays glowed, charging with deadly energy. The alien fleet scrambled to form defensive lines. Dreadnoughts locked shields. Carriers released swarms of fighters. Their commanders shouted desperate orders. Prepare for battle. Fire all weapons. Destroy them before they close range. The void lit up as alien cannons unleashed a storm. Beams of plasma and barrages of missiles streaked toward the human ships. For a heartbeat, it looked like the sky itself was burning. But when the fire cleared, the humans still advanced. The first volley hit their armor like rain on stone. The massive battleships shook but did not break. Their shields flared and held. Then came Earth's reply. The HSS Retribution opened fire. Its main cannon, powered by a singularity core, roared like thunder across the void. A beam of white energy cut straight through a Voln dreadnought, splitting it in half. The fragments burned as they fell toward Earth's atmosphere. The fleet followed. Human cruisers launched railgun slugs the size of trains. Fighters streaked from hidden carriers, swarming like a tide of steel. Alien shields collapsed under the sheer force. Ships tore apart in bursts of flame and metal. On Earth's surface, civilians stood in plazas and rooftops, watching with wide eyes as the night sky lit up with the battle. They saw alien ships burning like falling stars. They saw the power their species had hidden for generations. Above, panic spread through the alien fleet. They are too strong, shouted a captain. Their weapons sliced through our armor. Retreat! Retreat now! Admiral Sirach's scales rippled in terror. He had never known fear like this. His golden eyes stared at the human admiral's face on his screen. Hale's expression had not changed. Earth does not surrender, Hale said. The Iron Dawn fleet closed the trap. Human ships surged forward, surrounding the remaining aliens. The void was filled with fire and wreckage. On the Council broadcast channel, billions across the galaxy watched in stunned silence. Every empire, every world saw it. A primitive species destroying a coalition fleet that should have crushed them. The unthinkable had happened. As the last alien carrier exploded, Admiral Hale gave a single order. His voice echoed through the comms. Prepare the next phase. The officers in the underground chamber stiffened. They knew what it meant. Earth was not just defending itself. It was about to strike back. The screen cut to black. The war was over before it truly began. Above Earth, the wreckage of the alien coalition fleet drifted silently, glowing with dying fires. Hull fragments burned as they entered the atmosphere, streaking across the night sky like falling meteors. Millions of humans on the surface cheered, but their cheers carried no arrogance. Their eyes were steady, calm, as if they had known this moment would come. Across the galaxy, every world, every outpost, every station was watching. The Council had broadcast the invasion as proof of human weakness. Instead, the galaxy witnessed the impossible. Humanity, the so-called children of the stars, had unleashed warships that tore through dreadnoughts like paper. On the crystal worlds of the Veil, alien priests froze mid-chant, their songs cut short by the sight of Earth's fleet. On the gas giant platforms of the Turok, workers dropped their tools and stared at the broadcasts in stunned silence. In the shadowed palaces of the Kyrith, empresses trembled behind jeweled masks. Fear spread faster than fire. In the council chamber, chaos ruled. Delegates screamed across the floor. The insectoid speaker's wings shivered with rage. This cannot be! A backwater species does not build such weapons. They were hidden, hissed a reptilian warlord. They have been building in secret for centuries. They destroyed our fleet in minutes, cried another envoy. If they can do this to us, what chance do our empires have? One elder delegate stood, his eyes clouded with age. His voice was quiet, but it carried through the uproar. They are not weak. They are not young. They are hunters who waited until the galaxy mocked them, then revealed their teeth. The chamber fell into uneasy silence. The truth was too heavy to deny. Back on Earth, Admiral Nathan Hale stood before the command hollow. Around him, officers reported the victory. Casualty counts were low. Alien survivors had either fled or been annihilated, but Hale's face showed no triumph, only calculation. "The Council has seen what we can do," he said. "Fear is in their hearts now, and fear spreads faster than fleets," and Aide hesitated. "Sir, the broadcasts went everywhere. Billions witnessed the strike. Entire empires will be watching us now." Hale looked up at the hollow of Earth, glowing blue and calm. "Good. Let them watch." In the far reaches of the galaxy, the broadcasts were replayed in endless loops. Alien children pointed at the massive human battleships and cried. Soldiers who had sworn loyalty to their empires whispered of resignation. Leaders who had mocked Earth now sat sleepless, staring at the footage of human cannons cutting dreadnoughts in half. A rumor grew in the streets of alien cities. The humans have a fleet of 1,000 ships. Some claimed 10,000. Others swore Earth had hidden entire planets of weapons. The truth mattered less than the fear. On the homeworld of the Voln Confederacy, riots broke out. Citizens demanded answers. How had their proud dreadnoughts fallen so quickly? Why had their sons and daughters been sent to die? The golden-eyed Voln leaders had no answers. On a distant moon, a Thryn general watched the replays and whispered to his aide, "If the humans come here, we cannot stop them. None of us can." In hidden chambers, rulers met in secret. They spoke of desperate measures, alliances, betrayals. The words carried only one theme: humanity must be contained. But while they plotted, Earth was already moving. Inside the underground command chamber, officers updated their charts. The Iron Dawn fleet had begun shifting formations. Carriers launched drones into deep space. Recon squadrons leapt toward alien borders. Humanity was no longer waiting. One officer approached Hale cautiously. "So the galaxy now sees us as a threat. What is our next step?" Hale's eyes remained locked on the holographic map of the stars. Red dots marked the Council's strongest worlds. Blue lines showed possible routes. His voice was cold. "We held back against the coalition. We will not hold back forever." At that moment, a new transmission arrived from the Council. The speaker's insectoid face appeared on the main screen, wings trembling with fury and fear. "Humans of Earth," the speaker declared, "you have violated every law of the galaxy. Your fleet is forbidden. Your weapons are forbidden. You have shown yourselves to be too dangerous. The Council declares humanity a galactic outlaw. All empires are called to war against you." The chamber was silent. Officers waited for Hale's reply. He spoke only one sentence. "Then we strike first." His order echoed across the fleet. The Iron Dawn began to awaken in full. Hundreds of ships powered their engines, shaking the void with light. Weapon bays opened. Troop transports loaded. Soldiers stood ready in their drop pods, faces hard and determined. In orbit, the HSS Retribution turned its massive hull toward the stars. Across the galaxy, countless eyes widened as the human fleet began to move outward. The predators had stepped from their cage, and on the edge of Council space, alarms blared. Human recon squadrons were already crossing the borders. The galaxy demanded answers. How could a young world, barely stepping into the stars, unleash warships that humbled ancient empires? Where did Earth's power come from? The truth was older than the Council believed. 2 centuries earlier, Earth had stood on the edge of extinction. Nuclear wars scorched cities. Climate collapse threatened billions. Nations tore at each other in endless conflict. Humanity had nearly destroyed itself, but in the ashes of despair, something unexpected happened. The world's leaders, generals, and scientists gathered in secret. They made a pact never revealed to history books. No more division, no more petty wars. Humanity would survive or perish together. That secret alliance became known only to a few as the Iron Accord. Hidden bases were built inside mountains. Asteroids were hollowed and turned into factories. Mining fleets stripped dead moons of resources. Every scrap of metal, every ounce of energy was poured into one purpose, a fleet to end all fleets. The Council never knew. To the galaxy, Earth looked chaotic and fractured. Wars still played out on the surface, carefully staged to hide the truth. Poverty, crime, and disorder appeared real, but behind the curtain, humanity's greatest minds were united. In a cavernous shipyard buried deep within the asteroid belt, the first giants were born, warships larger than any ever seen. Their cores were powered not by simple fusion, but by something more terrifying: the Singularity Core. Human physicists had discovered a way to bind fragments of artificial black holes, trapping them within containment fields. The result was limitless power. Entire cities could run for centuries on a single core. But humanity did not build cities with them. They built weapons, railguns the size of skyscrapers, plasma cannons that cracked moons, cloaking fields that bent light and warped sensors, and armor plates forged from alloys the galaxy had never encountered. The Iron Dawn fleet grew in silence. Each decade, another wave of ships joined the hidden armada. Their names carried weight and warning: retribution, vengeance, dominion, eclipse, leviathan. By the time the Council first discovered Earth's radio signals, the Iron Dawn was already vast. By the time alien envoys made contact, humanity was ready. The smiles and handshakes given to the Council were masks. Behind them, Earth had already prepared for war. In the underground command chamber, Admiral Nathan Hale stood before the younger officers. Some of them had never known the truth until today. They watched, wide-eyed, as he explained what they had inherited. "We did not build the Iron Dawn for conquest," Hale said. His voice was steady, carved from steel. "We built it because we knew the galaxy would one day come for us. History told us that predators always find prey. We refused to be prey," one officer spoke, hesitant. "Sir, then why reveal the fleet now? Why not remain hidden?" Hale's gaze hardened. "Because the galaxy has judged us already. They sent their fleets to destroy us. They thought us weak. They thought us divided. They were wrong. Now they must see the truth." The chamber fell silent. Each officer understood. Humanity's age of shadows was over. The age of iron had begun. Far away, the Galactic Council met in panic. Reports of the Iron Dawn's origins trickled through spies and stolen transmissions. When the delegates learned of the Singularity Cores, terror rippled through the chamber. "They toy with forces that should not exist," one envoy whispered. "To cage a black hole is to play with gods. They built these ships in secret for centuries," another hissed. "If they had revealed them earlier, we would never have dared oppose them." The speaker's wings trembled. "They are not new to war. They were born in war, and they have turned their own extinction into their greatest weapon." But even as the Council argued, a new message arrived. Every communication channel lit up with the human admiral's voice. His image stood tall, uniform sharp, eyes unblinking. "This is Admiral Hale of Earth. You sought to measure us. You sought to break us. Know this now. We did not build our fleet for defense alone. We built it because the stars belong to us as much as they belong to you. And we will not kneel." The message played across the galaxy. In marketplaces, in military barracks, in the thrones of rulers. Billions of eyes watched, and fear grew deeper, but fear was not the only reaction. On some worlds, soldiers who had grown tired of council rule whispered with hope. Perhaps Earth was the storm that would shatter their chains. Perhaps the humans were not a threat but a chance, yet none could deny the truth. The Iron Dawn had changed the balance of power forever. Back in Earth's orbit, the HSS Retribution turned its massive hull outward, engines humming. Its escorts formed up in silent formation. They were no longer guarding Earth. They were preparing to leave it. Inside the chamber, an aide rushed to Hale with the latest reports. "Sir, long-range sensors confirm Council fleets are gathering. They mean to invade again, this time with everything they have." Hale stared at the star map. Thousands of red markers glowed, representing the Council's mustering forces. His voice was quiet, almost calm. "Then they have chosen war." He raised his hand and gave the order. "Mobilize the fleet. We no longer wait. Now we march to their worlds." The command was transmitted instantly. Across the Iron Dawn, massive engines roared to life. Battleships turned toward the distant stars. Carriers loaded drop pods by the thousands. Soldiers tightened their armor and checked their weapons. For 2 centuries, humanity had prepared in silence. Now the silence was broken. The Iron Dawn fleet began its first true advance. The galaxy had never been so afraid. Every empire, every dominion, every kingdom saw the same truth. Humanity was no longer a minor species. They were a storm, and storms could not be reasoned with. At first, some rulers argued for peace. Others whispered of alliances. But fear has a sharper tongue than hope. Fear drove them to betrayal. In a chamber hidden deep within the heart of the Galactic Council, the most powerful leaders gathered. No cameras, no broadcasts, no citizens to hear their words. Only shadows, silence, and hate. The insectoid speaker slammed its crystalline claws against the table. If we allow humanity to rise, they will rule us all. Their fleet will spread like fire across the stars. We must act before it is too late, a reptilian general hissed in agreement. Our fleets failed because we underestimated them. This time we strike with everything we have. Every empire, every soldier, united in one purpose, the destruction of Earth. Others added their voices. We will swarm their system. We will burn their world. We will crush them before they spread. But one voice was uneasy. A feathered envoy tilted her head, feathers trembling. They defeated 50 ships with ease. To strike again so soon may be suicide. Her words were drowned out. The chamber thundered with the sound of agreement. The decision was made. The council declared Operation Final Dawn. Within months, fleets gathered in secret. Not dozens of ships, not hundreds, thousands. Armadas larger than any seen in living memory. Carriers brimmed with soldiers. Dreadnoughts lined up in endless rows. The galaxy itself had turned into a war machine, and its guns all pointed towards Sol. The betrayal was complete, but humanity was not blind. In the Iron Dawn command chamber, Admiral Nathan Hale studied reports captured by human intelligence. Their networks of spies, stolen codes, and hacked council channels revealed the plan in chilling detail. One officer read aloud, voice low, "They mean to launch within the month. Multiple invasion vectors, coordinated strikes on Earth, Mars, and the Belt. They are not coming to negotiate. They are coming to erase us." The chamber fell silent. For a moment, only the hum of holoprojectors filled the room. Then Hale spoke. "Good, let them come. Let them believe they are hunters. We will show them who the true predators are." His words settled like iron in the hearts of his officers. But Hale was not finished. He turned toward the strategy board, where stars glittered in red and blue. "Passive defense will not save us. If we wait for their attack, they will bring numbers too vast to hold. We cannot guard our nest forever. We must strike at their heart before their fleets unite." The officers understood. The next phase would not be about survival. It would be about dominance. Troop carriers began loading soldiers in secret hangars. Drop pods were prepared by the thousands, each carrying human marines ready to descend on alien worlds. Factories across Earth and the Belt thundered with production, forging weapons at a pace unseen in human history. And in the shadows of the moon, the Iron Dawn fleet shifted once more. Their formations turned outward, no longer a shield but a spear. On alien worlds, whispers spread. Spies reported human ships leaving Sol in small groups, slipping into deep space like wolves on the hunt. Some claimed they were heading for trade routes. Others feared they aimed at undefended colonies. None knew for sure, but one truth became clear. Humanity would not sit idle while the galaxy conspired. Back in the secret council chamber, a messenger rushed in, voice shaking. "Report, human fleets have already crossed our borders. Worlds near the rim are under attack. Garrison forces are vanishing," the envoy shouted in panic. "Impossible. We have not launched yet." "They are already inside our space," the messenger cried. The speaker's wings trembled with fury. "Then our betrayal is known. They strike before we can gather," and still the reports came. Human cruisers ambushing convoys, warships vanishing in the dark. Colonies silenced without a single distress call. The betrayal had been meant to destroy Earth, but somehow humanity had discovered the plan before it began. On Earth, Admiral Hale stood at the head of his fleet, eyes sharp. "They wanted war," he said. "Now we give it to them." The order rang out across the Iron Dawn. Prepare planetary strike groups. Load drop pods. Arm singularity warheads. We take the fight to their worlds. The fleet roared to life. Battleships surged forward, their engines blazing like suns. Carriers split the void with squadrons of fighters. The Iron Dawn did not wait. It hunted, and far away, on a proud alien capital world, alarms screamed across the night. Civilian towers shook as orbital defenses lit up the sky. Children clung to their parents as shadows crossed the stars. The first wave of human drop pods entered the atmosphere. Fire streaked across the heavens. The invasion had begun. The alien capital world of Vedris had never known fear. Its cities stretched across continents, towers scraping the skies. Fleets patrolled the orbit, shining with pride. To its rulers, the planet was untouchable. For 10,000 years, it had been the jewel of their empire. That night, the jewel cracked. The sky lit up with fire. Human drop pods tore through the atmosphere, streaks of burning light descending like meteors. Civilians screamed as the alarms wailed across the city. Anti-air cannons thundered, filling the skies with plasma bolts, but the pods were too fast, too many. One crashed into a marketplace, shattering stone and steel. From the wreckage, armored soldiers marched out. Human marines in dark exosuits, weapons glowing with plasma charge. Their visors reflected the burning skyline as they raised their rifles. The first shots rang out. Alien guards fell before they could even aim. Panic spread. Civilians stampeded through the streets. While human squads advanced with cold precision, the Council had expected to fight humans at the edge of Seoul. Instead, the humans were here, inside their heart, in orbit above Vedris. The HSS Retribution loomed like a dark god. Its cannons spoke with thunder, blasting apart alien defense platforms. Entire battleships tried to stop it, but their beams scattered uselessly against its armor. The Retribution's railguns fired once, twice, and 2 enemy cruisers split in half, their burning husks falling into the planet below. Admiral Hale stood on the command deck, voice calm but unyielding. "Deploy Phase 2. The world must see what happens when they strike at Earth." Dozens of human carriers opened their bays. Wave after wave of strikecraft poured out, engines shrieking. They dove into the planet's skies, cutting down alien squadrons that tried desperately to resist. On the surface, the Marines pushed deeper. They stormed government halls, shattered military strongholds, and captured vital power grids. Resistance was fierce, but humanity was fiercer. Inside one captured fortress, Captain Eleanor Ward slammed a human flag into the broken wall. Her soldiers cheered, their voices echoing over comms. "Earth stands!" They roared, but not all was victory. The aliens of Vedris were not weak. Thousands of soldiers poured into the streets. War machines the size of buildings rolled forward, cannons blazing. The city shook as plasma fire turned entire blocks into ash. Captain Ward's squad took cover behind a collapsed tower. "Heavy armor incoming!" One Marine shouted. She grit her teeth. "Call it in!" Orbital strike. High above, the Retribution locked onto the coordinates. A single lance of plasma cut through the sky like the hand of a god. The alien war machine never had a chance. It melted into slag, leaving only a smoking crater. But as the dust cleared, Ward's helmet picked up transmissions, desperate calls from other squads. "Sector 7 overwhelmed. We need reinforcements now. They're pushing us back!" The aliens were not surrendering. They were fighting with everything they had. Back in orbit, Admiral Hale studied the battle map. Red markers multiplied across the planet. Alien reinforcements were pouring in faster than expected. Hale's jaw tightened. "They are bleeding for this world," he said quietly. "And they will bleed more," he gave the order. "Release the Black Lances." From the Retribution's lower decks, hidden hatches opened. Sleek obsidian craft launched into the void. Each carried a singularity warhead, unstable, forbidden, devastating. They were humanity's deadliest weapon. The Black Lances streaked into the atmosphere. Their targets were not soldiers, not tanks, not defenses. They were the power plants, the orbital elevators, the communication hubs, the beating heart of the capital itself. The ground shook as explosions ripped across the continent. Entire grids collapsed. Towers crumbled. The jewel of the empire dimmed under fire. For the first time in history, Vadris trembled. On the streets, civilians fell to their knees, watching their shining city darken. Fear spread faster than fire. The invincible empire was no longer untouchable. Humanity had reached inside its chest and crushed its pride. But in the council's great palace, the leaders still sat. They had not fled. Their shields still held. Their armies still fought. And as human forces closed in, a final message was sent across the stars. The speaker's voice was cold, filled with venom. Humanity has brought war to our homes. Then we will burn Earth itself. Every world we control will march. Every fleet will rise. This war will not end with your victory. It will end with your extinction. Admiral Hale listened to the transmission. His officers waited for his command. His eyes hardened. Then we end them before they can gather. But before the words fully left his lips, a new alarm screamed across the Retribution's bridge. A fleet had just entered the system. Not a few ships, not dozens, hundreds. The largest alien armada humanity had ever seen had arrived. The stars burned with fire. The alien armada had arrived, blotting out the void with endless fleets. Carriers, dreadnoughts, cruisers, thousands of ships, stretching farther than human senses could track. It was the largest force in recorded galactic history. At its heart, a colossal flagship gleamed, bristling with weapons. It was said to be the size of a small moon, built by a dozen empires united in fear of one enemy, humanity. The Council had brought everything. They would accept nothing less than Earth's extinction. On the bridge of the HSS Retribution, Admiral Nathan Hale stared at the swarm of red markers on the holomap. For the first time, even his officers hesitated. "Sir," one whispered, "we are outnumbered 50-1. Hale's gaze did not waver. His voice was iron. "Then we are right where we need to be." He raised his hand. "Signal the fleet." Iron Dawn formed the line. Today, humanity's fate is written. Across orbit, humanity's giants roared to life. The Retribution, the Dominion, the Eclipse, the Leviathan, names whispered in fear across the galaxy, shifted into formation. Engines flared, shields crackled, weapons locked. The Iron Dawn fleet, forged in centuries of secrecy, faced the storm without flinching. Then the void exploded, alien weapons fired in unison. Beams of plasma and antimatter bolts lit the darkness. Dozens of human ships were swallowed in the first barrage, shields collapsing under the endless assault. But humanity answered. Railguns, as long as cities fired tungsten slugs at near-light speed. Plasma lances split enemy cruisers apart. Singularity torpedoes tore through dreadnoughts, collapsing them into burning fragments. The battle was chaos. Explosions painted the void in crimson and gold. Ships twisted, broke, and burned. The Iron Dawn fought like wolves against an ocean of fire. On the surface of Vadris, Captain Eleanor Ward and her Marines held their ground as the sky rained debris. Burning wreckage from shattered fleets fell through the atmosphere, crushing towers and igniting the horizon. The world itself trembled as two civilizations clashed above its skies. Still, the Council fleet pressed forward. For every alien ship destroyed, 5 more took its place. Slowly, brutally, the Iron Dawn was being pushed back. On the Retribution, alarms screamed. Entire decks burned. Hull plating buckled under fire. Officers shouted as enemy dreadnoughts closed in. An aide turned to Hale. "Sir, we cannot hold. We need to retreat." Hale's eyes blazed. "There is no retreat. Earth has no second fleet. Humanity has no second chance. We win here or we die here." And then in the darkest moment, Hale gave the command he had sworn never to speak. "Unseal the vault." The bridge fell silent. Officers froze, eyes wide with shock. They all knew what it meant. Deep inside the Retribution, armored blast doors opened. A weapon humanity had kept hidden even from its own officers stirred to life. The Aegis Protocol, at its core, the largest singularity charge ever built. A caged black hole, unstable, hungry, deadly. It was not meant for defense. It was meant to end wars in a single strike. The Retribution's engines burned brighter as the ship pushed forward, straight toward the Council flagship. Enemy fire tore across its hull. Decks shattered. Hundreds of crew died. But still the ship advanced. On the alien flagship, panic spread. Commanders shouted for retreat, but there was no time. The Retribution loomed closer, bleeding fire yet unstoppable. Admiral Hale stood tall on his burning bridge. He opened one final transmission to the galaxy. His voice echoed across every frequency, heard by billions. You wanted to know the measure of humanity. You wanted to see our strength. Look now, we do not kneel. We do not break. We rise and we take the stars. He slammed his fist down. Aegis Protocol, detonate! The void collapsed into light. A singularity bloomed where the two flagships met. It tore space itself apart, dragging fleets into its hungry core. Alien dreadnoughts were ripped in half, their shields meaningless. Entire squadrons vanished in the collapse. The Retribution was gone, sacrificed. Admiral Hale was gone with it. But his last strike shattered the enemy. The Council armada broke. Ships fled in chaos. Their moon-sized flagship was gone, consumed by the black hole. The Iron Dawn, bloodied but unbroken, pressed forward. Humanity's remaining ships hunted the survivors, driving them from Vadris. On the ground, Captain Ward raised her visor, watching the alien skies clear. She whispered the words that would echo through history. Humanity stands. The battle was over. The Council, once untouchable, was broken. Their fleets destroyed. Their capital world burning. The galaxy, for the first time, belonged not to them, but to Earth. Humanity had paid in blood, but they had won, and across 1,000 worlds. Billions whispered the same thought. The galaxy would never be the same again.